Welcome back to Switch to Linux. So today we are going to look at the theming and customizing and making the most out of XFCE desktop environment. And what we're going to use for this one is Manjaro, because I think that they do have one of the best implementations of XFCE. So what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of skip over the things that are exclusive to Manjaro, but for the most part, I think that this desktop is a very good representation. This is mostly how it is right out of the box. I think I did increase the size of the panel. I was poking around to make sure that I could find everything quickly, so we could have a pretty flawless video here. So what we're going to do is we'll start out with just basically this is theming it and how to get things set up and things ready for it. So what we're going to do first is consider the desktop. The icons out of the box might be a little bit too small for most people. How might you change the desktop? Things like that. Of course, we have a few different functions on the desktop. We can middle click, which gets us our workspace switcher. You can disable that feature. Right clicking will get us our menu. And then inside here, of course, there's very simple things. Now, right clicking and going into the desktop settings will get us to the same place as on XFCE. We can get to our desktop settings through the settings panel. So now that we're here on our desktop settings, of course, just changing your wallpaper is just as simple as finding it and changing and selecting the wallpaper. We're going to go back to that one I had because I think that was a really nice one, if I can find it again. So you can just hunt around for the wallpapers and things that you want. Now, under your menus, these deal with your right click or your context menu. So there's a few things. One of these is we do have the application menu here. And what you can do is if you uncheck this box, the application menu goes away. So if you want to be able to access your application menu, you can keep that in there. And then show application icons. These are the icons that are on the menu. So the top button there covers that covers just those. And then we have, there is one I think that'll cover these. I don't remember which one it is. But as far as other things, window list menus, show workspace menus, these are the middle click button. So if I get rid of that, then I can still go back and forth, but I can't middle click to get into that particular setting as well. Then of course our icons, what type of icons do we want, and then the icon size. So we said those are pretty small. Let's just go ahead and increase those in size a little bit. So you can see now that those are a little bit larger. Let's just go up to 60 and see what that looks like. All right. So there we are. We are up there at 60. And then icon operations, we can kind of just determine where they are. Top left, top right, vertical or horizontal. We can go to top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. So of course, doing this kind of more like Mac. I have no idea why Mac sorts your icons that way, but they do. And then your other options in here, custom point sizes, things like that. You can just kind of look at what these guys do. And then default icons here. I'm not sure why this is so small. Let's see if I can increase the size. There we are. So if you want to turn on or turn off certain things. So I find on Linux, file system is not generally the most useful, but I do like having the removable disks, which includes network shares and things like that. So now that we have that system set up, we can drag these guys around where we want them. And there are a few little limitations, as far as I'm trying to think of what I was thinking of there, but never mind, it slipped my mind. It's not as feature-rich as some of the other systems are, is what I was getting at, but there certainly are a lot of other features. All right, so the next thing you might want to look at is your general theming. So inside your general theming, we have our appearance tab. Now, this is the part with XFCE that it's not quite as easy to customize. Now, if you know how to get into the configuration files, you can actually get in here and create your own themes. If you don't know how to do that, you're kind of stuck with these theming guys. Now, what you'll notice is that this does not actually adjust your window borders at all. there is a separate place to adjust those window borders, and we will get into where that is. So this is just your basic theming. So you can kind of pick where your different theming happens to be at. We're going to go back to the default there. Our icons, we have a variety of icons here. Now this particular one on Manjaro has a theme installer. I think that might be specific to Manjaro. I can't remember. But like other things, you can drop it in .icons, .themes folder in your home folder, or system-wide by dropping it in the user, share, etc. Here's, of course, our font adjustments. You can actually go ahead and scale this up if you need to scale it up. And then here is images on buttons and images on menus. So that does not cover these menus. What that covers is menus on applications. So we'll go ahead and pull up Thunar here. And if we pull down our applications, we see we do not have buttons. Come over here, turn this on, and now we have our icons on the buttons. And then the buttons are any of your pop-up buttons. So you'll see here, look at the help button there. If we toggle this off, you'll see that the icons disappear off of any system buttons that are there. We can do window scaling here. I'm not going to do that because that definitely will make this too big and can bug out the bottom since I'm on such a large screen setup as it is. So that's your appearances. But then we're going to go over, and I believe it's, is it this one, I think? Nope, I think it's Window Manager. I think this is our theming over here. So under your Window Manager, this is actually where you can adjust your theming for your window borders. So it's kind of a little bit more of a downside that they don't put all of these in the same location, so you have to go to two different areas. Here's some shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts that you can adjust. These deal with the Window Manager things. So if you want to set certain shortcuts for the Window Manager, you can do that. And then, let's see, so you can do window snapping, turn it on, turn it off inside of the advanced over here and things like that. The Window Tweak Manager, while we have these open, this is another one that you might want for maybe some fancy displays. So in active windows, you can actually drop their transparencies down. So this is, of course, our inactive. This is our active. Of course, we could totally drive it crazy and make our borders completely transparent. Well, that'd be hard to figure out, right? And so you can do a variety of different things. Then you can change the opacity on a move. So if I'm moving this around, you'll see it'll drop its opacity. So you can set these pretty much any way you want. Windows during resize, opacity of pop-up windows. So those are just kind of some nice basic theming things that you can do with your different windows. Smart placement. Okay, workspaces. I am not a fan of workspaces, especially on this. Scrolling the mouse wheel will scroll your workspaces. That actually drives me crazy. So I like to turn that off. I don't use separate workspaces except on GNOME. So with this, I just turn that off so I don't have to go into there. There is actually a place we can go in and disable the workspaces altogether as well. But that's generally enough for me. I don't accidentally get to it any other way with that turned off. So there is your window managers and things like that. Of course, in the settings, just the quick, easy ones, preferred applications, of course. Here's utilities. If you had more than one item over here, you could select what it happens to be. That's fairly self-explanatory. This is that theme installers talk about that I think is only on Manjaro, but I could be wrong about that. Notifications, of course. File manager, we have a few different options. So the icon sizes of your sidebars, if you want to adjust that, you can change your icon sizes over there just with this pull down. So you can set those any way you want. You can, what's the emblems? I'm not sure what the emblems is. And then this is for the tree panel. There's a way to turn on the icon tree. I don't remember how it is. Same behavior over there. So over here under behavior, you can click this to single click into different directories or go back into our double click into it. So if you do want to do that, and then open folders in new tabs on a middle click. So there's a variety of different things that you can do inside of these ones as well. All right, so with that, let's go back and let's go ahead and have a look at our panels now, because I think that's probably the last thing on the list we want to look at. So in XFCE, of course, this is kind of our default menu. It's called the whisker menu, which kind of has a feel kind of like the XP menu, which is probably just fine. We can search for anything, just pull up the menu and search for something. And we have a search bar there. We start on our favorites. We also have a recently used, and then we go through the all applications as well. We also have up here, we have settings. We have lock the screen, we have the switch users, and we have the log out. We also have the ability on this one to just kind of grab our menu here and set the size. If you want it huge, if you want it small, whatever you want to do with the menu, you can go ahead and set your menu up that way. All right, you can actually edit the menu by right-clicking and hit Edit Applications on the menu, and this is going to bring up our menu application editor, so we can turn on or turn off different categories. You'll see that it is a little bit more, a little harder to select some of the things that you want to drag around and do. But here we can actually come up here and set different applications. So these are kind of run applications. There's your settings. Then under applications, you can actually come over here and you can toggle things on or off of menu by hitting the toggle button, primarily the hide from menus. So like there's let's go under accessories here. Not sure why I have two accessories. I think I was actually moving stuff around, and that one got moved around into a separate accessories. So you'll see that we have a Manjaro user guide. So if I come down to the Manjaro user guide and toggle the menu and go down into accessories, then that should have disappeared. Why did it not disappear? That should make it hide from menus. It might be I need to close this down to get it to work. That's right. There you go. Save. I'll go ahead and save that. Forgot about the save function there. So now you'll see under accessories, it's no longer there. So it'll be italicized over here, so you can indicate, see in the indication it's disabled, so I can turn it on or turn it off over there. So you can move things around if you need to. I don't think you can drag or drop, but you should be able to copy them to other systems as well. So there's test launcher. Here's create a new application. So you can actually edit your menus. Not quite as easy as the one in Linux Mint, for example, where you can copy and paste and makes your movement a little bit easier. But you do have all of the functionality that you could need for editing your menus. All right, so the other things is our panel, kind of the last thing. Now, of course, XFCE is also used with MX Linux, where the panel is the desk bar on the side. The Ubuntu, I believe, puts the panel up at the top because that's kind of an Ubuntu thing, putting your panels at the top. And then a lot of different distros will actually put the panel on the bottom. You have the option down here to go into panel preferences. This is where you want to adjust your panels at. So your lock panel will enable your panel to be locked. If you unlock it, then it'll give you kind of some bars on either end that you can do things like drag it around. Only desktop I know where you could literally put the panel right in the middle. But you can put it on the top, you can put it on the bottom, you can put it on the left or the right. So we have that's horizontal, here's a vertical, and here's the desk bar. So the desk bar is what MX Linux uses if you were interested in that. All right. We can automatically hide the panel. We can always hide it, or we can intelligently hide it. We'll go ahead and lock the panel back up. We can set the different sizes. So I think Manjaro actually gives us a little bit smaller panel than I had there to start. But we can make the panel larger or smaller as we see fit. We can also add a number of extra rows to it as well. And we can set the length to be large or small. I don't know of a way to center it, although I'm wondering if I can, I can just kind of eyeball the center like that if you wanted something that's more consistently like a Mac or something. You can go ahead and do that. As far as appearances, we can use our system style, or we can customize it with a special color. So if you want to do something like this, you can make your panel red. Some theming systems will allow you to put in transparency. You actually do have the ability to do your transparency though right from your opacity right here. Now you have two of these, an enter and a leave. You can think of these as a hover state. So we've dropped the opacity down. So if you hover on, it'll go fade out. Hover out, you can it fades back to full. Or some of them will do it kind of the opposite way, where it's kind of faded, you go into it, and then it pops up. So you can adjust either one of those independently, which is nice. And then our items, this is actually where you move things. Now you can actually right-click certain things and move them. So if I hit the move here, then you'll see where that red dot just appeared. That kind of indicates where I can move things to. Okay, so you kind of see the red dot will appear in different places. That indicates where I can move things to. I'm going to just right click and end that. But I can also highlight something and use the arrows to just kind of move them in their locations. A little bit easier way to move things if you ask me. So you have the ability to do that. Here's like our show desktop, which I always like right at the far edge like that. And then you can add different items to the panel with clicking this plus that's in row with what we were doing, not the top plus. That adds another panel. So if you wanted to add launchers, there's a few ways to add launchers to the system. We can actually click on this, add a launcher, but there's actually an easier way. So if I wanted to add, for example, Firefox onto this, I can just search for Firefox, right click it in the menu. We can add it to the favorites, add it to the desktop, or add it to the panel. Now it's going to add things to the panel at the far right over there. Let's go ahead and add this one to the desktop if you like desktop icons. So there's things like that. Now you'll see that these will be your launchers in your systems, and so we're going to move these up to be next to the panel. All right, so if I wanted to, I don't think I can drag and drop them onto the panels. So no, I can't drag and drop things onto the panels. Some distros you can do that, so this one is not going to be one of those. Of course, now we're starting up our Libre Impress, so we're going to close that one down. But maybe let's add something else to, let's find something else. There you go. You might want Steam on your system there, so we'll add that to the panel and then move that around. Now, your I was on the wrong launcher. You might want to, you can actually come into a launcher and go into your properties and add extra items to the launcher. But the problem is it doesn't extend the width of the launcher. It may be possible to extend that. I don't know exactly how to get that to extend out, with at least not without going into configuration files. So that's why I generally add a separate launcher for each one, so I don't get these little arrows up there. So that's how you can just adjust your systems. Now, of course, I said you can add extra panels, so we're going to go ahead and add another panel, and then what we'll do with this panel here is this guy over here. We'll hit our displays. Let's go ahead and drop the row size down a little bit, and then we'll go with the 100 width on this, lock the panel. But then this one here, let's go ahead and always auto hide the panel, and then let's go ahead and make it a little bit transparent there. So then what we'll do with this one here, let's go ahead and add this to panel. We need to now choose the panel that we're going to add it to. So we'll just go ahead and build this guy out with some icons. So we're going to add this to panel 1. Let's go with, there's GIMP. Add this one to panel 1. All right, so now that guy should completely disappear until I go up there and hover up there. So if you wanted to have a bunch of system information at the top but have it disappear, you have that option. Now, somebody else, when I was recording a first version of this, but I didn't like it very much, he asked, how can you leave room for that panel if you wanted the panel at the top? Like, this is a little frustrating, you know, that's why I don't put full-size panels up at the top. When I go to close a window, I can't do that. So what we're going to do actually for making that happen is we're going to hit our panel preferences, make sure we're on the panel that we want. And in this case here, what we're going to do is I'm going to never hide it. And then we have the option here for reserve and don't reserve space. So right now we're not reserving space. So when we're not reserving space, it should snap. Well, I might have to close those out. If you hit the don't reserve space, this one here could snap windows up in place of your panels. This is what he's talking about, which is very annoying. My Mate system does this, and it actually kind of drives me crazy. So if you are putting a panel at the top, you might want to have it never hide, and then deselect this button here so that you can reserve your space, so then it will never go above that space on the panels. All right. So if we were to always be keeping that around, though, we could do something like let's go over here and put our leave at this. Now, the downside is we're always going to have a little bit up here, at least, again, without going into the configuration. I've not found a way to get rid of this shadow. Maybe a solid color might do it, but I doubt it. Like I said, I haven't found a way to get rid of that shadow, so that's kind of why I would probably put if I wanted to run like a better icon system up there, what I might end up doing is something like maybe do a small width and put it probably somewhere in the center, maybe like either here or here, that it would not interfere with windows open over here or windows open over here. You know, the systematicness of it, you might want to, let me go ahead and always hide it. Okay, so that way it's kind of always hidden, and I can pull it up like this, but if you put it right in the middle to be perfectly symmetrical, it is going to get in the way of things if you have them snapped over here. But if you put it all the way full size, it's going to get in the way over here. So if you put it at one of these two sides here, and you could actually put a panel up here and maybe another panel over here as well. So you could actually have two of them. Maybe this one's for your launchers and this one's for status or whatever else. So there's a lot of things you can do inside of XFCE to make this guy work. So that is how to get panels, icons working, desktops. Just kind of make the system your own. There are a lot of customizations in here. Of course, not quite as many as Plasma has, but certainly more than many other systems do as well. So if this was helpful, you're welcome for doing it. And thanks for coming along for a video. You can help support the channel by having a look at the links up above the little video clip or in the description down below. And have a look at the social media links if you want to follow along over there. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.